Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the books is in. The books are in. Yep. They in. They're here.
Log in to KofiPaisaTV.com and get Spears of the Mossy Volume 1 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, from Spears the Pen Volume 2 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, Spiritual Combat Volume 3 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, One Night Before Bed by Any Harret Shun Calfunny, Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland by Kofi Paisa, From Cocaine to Consciousness by Any Harret Shun Calfunny, As I Learn, We All Learn by Kofi Paisa. Also, if you want fresh merch, go to our online store, Family Connect Apparel, and get all the brands. Also, get our 54 deck of quiz and educational cards available now on KofiPaisaTV.com.
ETM Hotel, Rennie Sean. Welcome in peace. My name is Sean. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the Massa Warrior Clan YouTube channel. We are back. We are back again to end our rewind on Did Blacks and Jews Migrate to and Have a Presence in West and Central Africa. This is going to be the actual wrap up. Like the show, share the show, tell a friend to tell a friend. Look, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you how serious it is for your boy. I got my popcorn ready. I was missing this yesterday. So today, I got my popcorn ready. I already been digging into it while the commercials was playing. Yeah, man. So I'm ready to, see what we got going on and complete the rest of this transaction with this rewind. We were down to the last 55 minutes of the particular video. And what we're going to do is we're going to start this thing off right. Peace to Arca, Rasta, Chef, Jeremy, Nunu, Keenan, Marlon, Coma, Robert Rand, Chef. You already lost. You already lost. We debunked divine last night, and it wasn't pretty. We used his source. We used his source. So just to get everybody caught up who may have not watched the actual video from yesterday. So Divine's claim to fame was that he had a primary source, which wasn't a primary source, but he labeled it as a primary source. And the source comes out of the book about the Portuguese in West Africa by what's her name, Lily Hewitt or something like that. In the book, he goes to page 75, where he refers to a letter written by Fernandez. Fernandez, it says in the book entitled that Fernandez had never been to West Africa. Never. However, he says in the part 1 of this video that was his primary source. Well, his primary source never went to West Africa. That was established in the same source that he used. What was who they referred to as so-called Black Jews, they called them Gula or Goulet. And when we looked up what it actually meant by Goulet, we found out that didn't have anything to do with Jews, that his informant never told, Fernandez's informant never told him that these people were Jews. Fernandez himself called these people that. Therefore, you have someone like Divine take that and run with it. He never cross-referenced or vetted the source. It provided the footnote. The footnote would take him to where he could substantiate what was taking place. He ignored that. So there was several pieces of information in that book that he tried to read that would substantiate that. And then he goes on and he continues to try to prove everything else. Well, not really prove, but argue everything else. So once your source dismisses the fact that these people that they were calling in synagogue among the Wolof, that they were calling them the Black Jews, and you establish that they were not Black Jews, the rest of your argument is hogwash. So again, if you missed part 1 of the video, I'm just catching people up to par. Now, it took us a while to get there, but we wanted to walk with him through his information and argument with the brother that he was having a conversation with. So what we're going to do today is we're going to finish up that discussion, and then we'll wrap up the overall. So therefore, we'll have this video in 2 parts. It's not drawn out, and people can actually like the video, share the video, and continue to understand. So if Sutek does hop on the panel again, we'll kind of use that same formal and informal way of actually going through things. If we need to go and deal with divine sources or whatever else he brings up, then we actually can go and pull that and see if they're saying what divine is saying, or if they are actual factuals in the instance. So therefore, bear with me one moment. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share my screen. I don't know if Kofi, anybody else will be joining me. Back to where we were. All right, so this is part 2 of Did Black Jews Migrate to and Have a Presence in West and Central Africa? A comprehensive review. Copyright disclaimer: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Come on, y'all, like the show, share the show. Let me get us where we were yesterday. I want to start with the Africanisms, right? I want to start with the Africanisms just so we get people caught up here. Actually, let's go back. Nah, we're gonna start right here with the Africanisms.
Source, my brother. I'm gonna show you another source, right? Let me show you this. All right, let me get another source.
Get y'all popcorn.
Pull it up. All right.
Are you familiar with Joseph E. Holloway? You can say yes or no in the back chat. Let me know. No, okay, no problem. All right. I'm gonna read this for you, and I'm gonna show you. If you want, you can research who he is. But I'm just gonna read this excerpt for you so you can see what's going on, right? And the reason why I like this is because it's very clear, it's very concise, right? About where slaves were sourced from, right? So let's go ahead and read. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit more, in case it might be really small, right? The origins of African American culture. The history of the New World is a story of cultural interaction, integration, and assimilation. The rediscovery of the New World by Columbus in 1492 opened the gate to world powers and prompted colonists, colonialists, and private individuals to search for wealth. The fertile land attracted farmers, especially from Spain, Portugal, France, and England. And we speak of the Portuguese right now. The new immigrants needed cheap labor to mine precious metals and to do work on plantations. Their desire led to the transatlantic slave trade, in which millions of Africans was brought to the New World to meet this new labor demand. The transatlantic slave trade established a permanent link between Africa and North America as Africans sold into slavery transplanted their cultures to the New World. The largest forced migration in history, the slave trade brought an estimated 500,000 Africans to what is now the United States over some 200 years ago. This total is thought to represent about 7% of the entire transatlantic slave trade, though the exact figures are in dispute and the total volume of the slave trade may never be known. If one considers those who perished in the stockades and on the cargo ships and estimating the volume of traffic to the New World, the total may be well over 40 million. Now let me scroll down to what I want to show you in this, right? Here's some maps if you want to see. The Guinea coast, the coast of Guinea, that's important. That's what we're talking about, right? We have the Wolof, the Susu, the Mende, the Mandingo, right? The Akan is here, the Fan is here. You mentioned the Akan, right? The Akan breaks down to the Ashanti, the Fante, and some other splinter groups, right? Or cultures, right? The Fan is over here, what we call Benin, right? And then you have the Yoruba that's here. Then you have the Ibibio, the Igbo, etc. That's over here, and what's is modern day Nigeria, right? So we were looking on the Guinea coast, right? This was called the Windward Coast, the Grain Coast, from Wolof by the port of Guri all the way down to what we call Kru in this region right here. Then the Ivory Coast is here, the Gold Coast is here, the Slave Coast is here. Now, when we first started bringing slaves over here, look over here to your right, okay? Over here to your right, number one is the Mande. 25% of the Mande is what we have right here. We see region 1 comes over here. The Mande, they loop to include people from the Wolof, the Mandingo, etc. They grabbed several people or tribes from that region, and when they was laying down their cartography of West Africa and the Americas, they started throwing blanket terms on mass groups of people. However, through that database that I showed you on slavevoyagers.org, and there's a genealogical database in regards to DNA samples that was extracted from African Americans and those in Africa today to show the affinities. We show that it's various tribes that the Europeans didn't even know about in that region that they sourced from. However, 25% of them were taken from where? The Mande region, which is this area right here, right? It stops over here. What we see too is that, which leaves us over here by what we call the Ivory Coast. South of the Grain Coast, south.
Hey, I just want to let y'all know, man, my popcorn is busting listening to this craziness.
Cape Mount, all the way here to Cape Coast, okay? Elmina is right here, right? So this is the region where they sourced them from, and look where they brought them. They showed you, this is where they brought them from, right? Savannah. A lot of them went over here to Savannah in this region of the Americas, right? And then we have the other portions, region 1, region 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all right? Well, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, Congo is here, Angola, you have the Luango Coast here, etc., right? Now, they also talk from the Mano River, 7%, the Akan, 11%. That's what you mentioned, the Akan. So
let me run it back. So yesterday in Divine's argument, remember, he stretched Jews from Senegal all the way down to the Congo. And you heard him say the Luanga or something like that he keeps saying. But you don't see it here. Now, I want you to methodically think about, for everybody who saw it yesterday, I'm going to make it simple. At the beginning of his arguments, He started with this same path. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't understand what has taken place, Divine's argument about Jews being in West and Central Africa are predicated on these two maps from James Holloway's book, Africanisms in America. If I have to go all the way back to the beginning, when he starts to lay out his groundwork in his response to Victor, let me take this off. To Victor, it is number 1 to number 8. He is claiming that Jews was all in that area. And then he used, before this screen, he uses the Slave Voyage website to implement or strengthen his argument. And before that, he used the Portuguese book as supposedly a primary source. And before that, he used the little Jewy conference thing to say that he was supposed to participate in that and write a book about some information that he was going to insert and do all of those things. Look at his eyes in this video. Look at Divine's eyes. Thank you, Divine, for keeping your camera on. Look at his eyes. Then before that, he makes another argument that has absolutely nothing to do with his initial argument. Come on, y'all, like the show, share the show. Y'all know what we're doing. I'm catching everybody up. Before that, he made a whole nother argument that had nothing to do with the initial argument, which he was supposed to show. He went in a whole nother direction. So if you pay close attention here, we're at Africanisms in America, which brings back his earlier points about where the people came from and how all these people from number 1 through 9 are Jews. There was Jewish presence in West and Central Africa. So we now know the key to the key to his whole argument rests ashore on what he called a primary source in a letter written by Fernandez, where he reads it right around his 55-minute point. But what he doesn't read is the introduction to Fernandez's letter, which we did in part 1 of this video yesterday. Then we go into the footnote to define who the Gaul are. Who are the Gaul? We found out that the Gaul, the information comes from Fernandez's informant, because Fernandez never traveled to West Africa. Fernandez's informant never says that these people are Jews. He says what he witnessed, and then he says that they're different than everybody else, and they stand off and they sing and all of that stuff. That's all he said. His informant never made a claim. He only revealed what he saw. Fernandez implies that this is the behavior of Jews. He's saying these people were Jews. So now Fernandez is at fault. How do we know that? Because we use divine source, we checked the footnote, and the footnote identified and referred in the footnote that these people were not Black Jews. So Divine's premise of West and Central Africans based on Fernandez's account falls flat. So now here we are, him trying to justify his initial argument against the brother who made a Facebook post that drew out this conversation from the get-go. Now that we're up, we can continue. Man, like the show, share the show, tell a friend, tell a friend. We on part 2 of that that ignorance. Let me get back to my popcorn. It will bust.
People that came from what they call the Al-Balad al-Sudan, that region there, the Niger River, Cross River, the Niger Delta, the Bankango Bantu, the Omvimbundu Bantu, Luba, Lunda Bantu, right? It shows you the areas in which they sourced them from. But let's keep going down. I want to show you something as we go down. Check it out, right? Here is the Africans imported into South Carolina to the Americas. That's what we're mentioning right now, right? We see right here from 1706 to 715, they imported about 5,081. This is what we have.
His initial source showed a map that sent the people to Savannah. Savannah is in Georgia. So now he skips all of that to come to the slave trade in South Carolina. Be careful. Listen closely. I got the book right beside me.
Documentation from, and these almost 20 years of where they was imported from, where they was brought, right? Here's more. 1721 to 1726, it increased to 3,632, right? Let's keep going. Right? Here we go. Over here on table 3, origin of slaves imported into South Carolina. What does it say? 19.5% came from Senegambia. This is the region we're talking about right now. And
y'all see what I'm saying? In his argument, he brings it right back to the Senegal among the Wolof. But this time he says Senegambia because Senegal surrounds the Gambia. That's why you get Senegambia. But specifically, he's talking about the Wolof. Remember what Fernandez claimed. But those people were not Jews. But look at Divine's face and watch what he says.
Country, Wolof Empire. This is the time period in which the Portuguese were there, and they identified eyewitness Black Jews that lived there, that looked just like the locals. They were Jews because they understood them from their practices, and they saw by their practices as a Jew, they were different from the Jews that he was familiar with. They were familiar with the Jews in the Iberian Peninsula. How do we know? Because Queen Ferdinand and them kicked them out.
Okay, so I gotta do this for everybody who missed part 1. I gotta stay right there with him, and I gotta do this. Now let's read this paragraph where it says Fernandez. Okay, it says, and let me make sure that y'all can see it on. Okay, it look good for y'all out there. Well, it look a little blurry on your cell phone, but I'm gonna read it. It says Fernandez never traveled to West Africa, but he obtained a great deal of information from ship's captains. By the end of the 15th century, the Portuguese had 50 years experience of trading in Upper Guinea, and many had settled along the tidal reaches of the rivers. Fernandez never traveled to West Africa, but he obtained a great deal of information from ship's captains. By the end of the 15th century, the Portuguese had 50 years experience of trading in Upper Guinea, and many had settled along the tidal reaches of the rivers. Fernandez's account reflects the detailed knowledge the Portuguese had acquired of the Wolof Kingdom south of the Senegal River, which was one of the principal trading areas. In this extract, Fernandez's informant tried to understand the role of the professional bards of praise singers. These formed a distinct caste in Wolof society, similar to the smiths and the leather workers. Bards had influence and prestige, but although the Portuguese understood the separateness of this group, they believed they were despised by the ordinary people. Who believed that they were despised by the ordinary people? The Portuguese. This apparently led the Portuguese to compare them and possibly to confuse them with Jews with whom they were familiar in Portugal. Scroll down some. The importance of the horse trade is also clear from this passage. Although horses were used in warfare and were the basis of political power through much of the Sahel and forest regions, Fernandez also emphasized the ownership of horses was so much a matter of status that they were even valued if they were dead, for their tails could be displayed as objects in prestige. Fernandez also describes the important role played by iterant Muslim preachers and holy men who spread Islam, not least through the provisions of amulets, which were worn as a means of protection by horses as well as people. All right, so stay there, Sutek. We're coming back to our boy. Crime suspect.
Shit. Am I? Oh, nah. You got your screen.
Hold on. Yeah, go ahead and you on the screen. Okay, so it says the kavaka, more commonly the kavaking ho, is a small string instrument with 4 strings. Okay, so there go the word, is number 11. This is a rendering either of Gaul, Wolof, or Gaul, Fufu. They have no connection with Jews, and the reason Fernandez calls them Jews seems to be that they are a group in society who are widely despised and who kept themselves separate from the rest of everybody else. I want y'all to see. Let me bring it back to
them that they are barred by the blacks and do not dare enter one of their houses except that of the Lord. And if so I can give you where it's been authenticated at. Proceed.
Hit a man out.
You said proceed, so that means it's authentic. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna go here, right down. This is on page 76. It says, in this country and in Mendinga, there are Jews who are called Gaul, and they are black like the people of the country. However, they do not have synagogues and do not practice the ceremonies of other Jews. Who are these other Jews? The Sephardim. These are Jews that he would have been familiar with because they was in the Iberian Peninsula. They do not live with the other blacks, but separate from them in their own villages. These Gaul are usually jesters and singers and play on vowels and kabakos. And because they do not dare to enter the villages, they take up a position behind the houses of the lords of the village. And at daybreak, they sing his praises until he orders them to be given a ration of millet, and they go their way. And when the Lord leaves his house, these Jews go in front of him, singing and calling out their jests. If the Jews did not know these jests, and if they did not greet the Lord in this way, they would not be tolerated by the blacks. For so great is the ill will felt towards them that they are barred by the blacks and do not dare enter one of their houses except that of the Lord. And if they are found in that village, they are beaten with sticks. No Gaul, whether Jew or Jewess, may take water from a spring until everyone else is finished drawing their water, and then the last person will give them water. Or if they live in a country where there's a lot of water, they have some spring of their own set apart. Now, this source right here, my brother.
All right. So if you look up what the word Gaul means, it means a native or inhabitant of ancient Gaul. Let's see if we can get some further understanding of this, if it exists. Or Gaul, Fufu. They have no connection with Jews. Okay, so there go the word, is number 11. This is a rendering either of Gaul, Wolof, or Gaul, Fufu. They have no connection with Jews, and the reason Fernandez calls them Jews seems to be that they are a group in society who are widely despised and who kept themselves separate from the rest of everybody else. I want y'all to see this again, okay? Zoom in. No. Do me a favor, bro. Thank you. Highlight it and zoom in more. Please. Please. Let's see if you can. Now I'm gonna pause the video right there so that everybody on YouTube world can actually see that what Divine read had a citation or a footnote rendering the qualification of the word Gaul, which you heard Divine say. But Divine said what he read, which was Fernandez's interpretation of what his informant saw, but his informant never claimed that they were Jews. Fernandez makes the claim that they were Jews. And who follows suit? Divine follows suit with what Fernandez says, but he never checked the citation. Therefore, the author of the book that he's claiming gives it clarity. This is a rendering either of Gaul Wolof or Gaolo for full day. They have no connection with Jews, and the reason Fernandez calls them Jews seems to be that they are a group in a society who are widely despised and who keep themselves separate from the rest. They have no connection with Jews.
(1752 1808), direct from Africa, 4,146. Just Africa in general. We don't have any specifics on that date. About origin, time period. Senegambia, number of cargoes was 17, number of slaves 1,031, 6.2%. Right. Then it goes down. Sierra Leone, Windward Coast, Gold Coast, Bada Benin, Bada Biafra, that existed there. Matter of fact, you'll see later on there was letters written to find out who these. Just a small portion of these people from outside the outskirts of mainland Wolof Kingdom and those communities. Why would they go to the outskirts to a secondary class of people and convert them when they're not the ones with the power and resources in the area? If you look at the conversion that's done by the Portuguese Jews that landed on the west coast of Senegambia, and you go to look about why they were converting, they didn't deal with these offshoot splinter groups that existed there. Matter of fact, you'll see later on, there was letters written to find out who these people were, because the mainstream Jewish community that existed at the time did not know who these Black Jews were.
All right, so you see how definitive he is in his assertions about these people living on the outskirts. All the while, the whole source is telling the man that, brother, these people are not Jews. These people are a part of these people that you're separating. They're just in a part of a different caste system. They're the singers and dancers. They don't go among the other people. They are segregated in what they do because of their practices and things of that nature. That's the problem here. He's so sure, but he never read the citation.
Who they were. They didn't even know how they got there. However, other letters showcase
people do know how they got there. They're the same damn people. They're the same people, but he doesn't know this. So he's gonna go on a whole tangent, and let's hear it out. I'm gonna get some more popcorn for this.
Some people do know how they got there, and they did explain their migrational routes, and we're going to get into that. That is simply what I want to showcase for you. But let's look over here to the right. Let's keep going, right? Slaves imported into South Carolina by origin and time period. Senegambia, number of cargoes was 17, number of slaves 1,031, 6.2%, right? Then it goes down. Sierra Leone, Windward Coast, Gold Coast, Bada Benin, Bada Biafra, Angola, Madagascar, Mozambique, and others, right? Guinea, other unknown places where we don't have any records for. We can only deal with the primary evidence that we have. Any speculation could be speculation. I'm showing you evidence, okay? The middle period, 1749, 1787, Senegambia, they had 116 cargoes that went there with 6,038 slaves, which was 26.3%. Now, when you see these varying figures, you got to understand politically what was going on the western central coast of Africa at that time. If you understand that history, you know why they're sourcing what they can source, how they're getting the amount they're getting, and what's going on. All of this stuff is important. But let's keep going, right? Matter of fact, let me read this for you. I think this is important. The Senegambia region includes the ethnic groups of Mandingo, Malinke, Bambara, Wolof, and Fula, right? Plural Fulani. Bambara, Mandingo, and Malinke are related ethnic groups that speak dialects of a single language and share the same Mande culture. Malinke, however, are Muslim, and the Bambara are anti-Muslim. Collectively, these West Africans from Senegambia through the Bight of Benin and Biafra represented 60% of Africans imported into South Carolina through the 18th and early 19th centuries. But the heterogeneous cultures placed them at a disadvantage in influencing African-American culture. This is important. It's important, right? Then we go down to Central Africans if you want to get there. But I'm just on the Senegambia region, the Mande peoples, and what they made up. And we see who they made up. It lays it out for us right here. We see exactly who we're talking about. Mandingo, Malinke, Bambara, Wolof, and Fula. All right, let's keep going down. Let's go down a little bit more. Let me see where something else I want to show you that I think is important. Let me see if I can find it right here. All right. Origin of slaves imported into South Carolina, 1750 to 1808. Direct from Africa, 4,146. Just Africa in general. We don't have any specifics on that data, right? The total number is 65,466 that we have documented.
The direct from Africa and the number of slaves. So if you do the math on the divine, you have 4,146 people that they don't know where they come from. Then you got 12,441, 3,906 Sierra, 3,851 Liberia, Ivory Coast, 18,000, 11,000, 10, 243, 230. That gives you your direct number of Africans right there. And then 2,303 from West Indies. That's how you come to 67. But I think you may have made a mistake, or I hope that you're referring to the 4146. But I'll just chalk that up as maybe a misspoke.
Some that are not documented. Gambia to Sierra Leone is 12,400.
Hold on, let's see what they say.
Just Africa in general. We don't have any specifics on that. Wolof and Fula. All right, let's keep going down. Let's go down a little bit more. Let me see where something else I want to show you that I think is important. Let me see if I can find it right here. All right. Origin of slaves imported into South Carolina, 1750 to 1808. Direct from Africa, 4,146. Just Africa in general. We don't have any specifics on that data, right? The total number is 65,466 that we have documented. There's some that are not documented. Gambia to Sierra Leone is 12,441. Then when we get to the Guinea coast, the Gold Coast to Calabar is 18,240. Gambia to Sierra Leone, we have it. Sierra Leone itself, 3,906. So we see the majority of them, where they're coming from. Mande area, Mandinka. So what I'm saying is, when you look at the slave-rated techniques of the Wolof peoples that traded, if you go into the Bambara culture, look at their slave trading. They source from POWs, they source from criminals, and then they source from foreigners who are lower class that lived amongst them. Now, if you want a great book on this, let me get a good book for you on this, right? And then we're going to get back to the other primary.
Okay, so he says that basically the Mandi was slave trading, and they were slave trading foreigners. Now he's making another claim that they're slave trading foreigners in lower class, the Mandi. But remember, his initial claim is that these people that were the black Jews in the area that Fernandez claims are Wolof. So I guess he's trying to say that the Mandi, which they all are, but a section of either the Siri or other Wolof are enslaving these people. But a Fula, see, he's on right now, he's on a wild goose chase. Now remember, what I just showed y'all, Divine either has no recollection of or he totally ignored it and he just continued in his argument. You know more than Divine does at this point because you read the emphasis, the footnote that actually explained that these people were not Black Jews. So now that you know that these people were not Black Jews, that these people were just X, Y, and Z, and that Fernandez never went to West Africa, you know more than Divine do in his argument. So everything that he says now just looks very disingenuous and sad. And yes, it is a methodology problem because he didn't do his research. He came to a faulty conclusion based on the assertions of someone who never verified that these people were Jews because his informant never told him, and he uses this source as a primary source. So now it begs the Divine prospect. Do you understand what a primary source is? I have a problem with what he's saying because I don't think that he understands what a primary source is, for one. For two, he was very disingenuous because he did not read the entire introduction of the Fernandez letter and why it was being written. He skipped over crucial parts of the letter that actually identified and explained to people that Fernandez never went to West Africa. He used an informant. So it's he say, she say. But his informant never made the claim that these Black people that he saw that were separate from the others was Jews. Rasta said, quit being nice, he just lied. So now he says he has another source. And when he says he has another source, I get to looking at all my books in West Africa because I know I got more sources than he do. And I just want to see where he want to go with it.
About Black Jews in this region, and then we have more data that we can showcase to show all of this connection, right? No problem, Dimitri. I'll see you another time, my brother. All right, thank you for jumping on. I appreciate it. All right, Dimitri said he had to go. No problem. All right. So Victor, let me give you a source. All right, I have tons of books on this. All right, let me show you a source on this. If you want to read up more detail in regards to this. Let me pull up my books. Let me see if I can find them. Hold on one second. I have a whole library that I have online. Let me type it in here. Which would be a good source for this? Here it is. I'll show this to you. This is from my personal library because I have tons of books in there. Here it is right here. All right, slavery and African ethnicities in the Americas, an excellent source if you want to go into more detail about looking at what we call cultural affinities between the Africanisms that existed in the Americas and what was still there on the mainland continent. And what you will see is nuances amongst those cultures. If you want to understand why that's there, I'll show you the James Horton source, who was a Igbo who lived outside of Freetown, who worked for the CMS and was responsible for telling the history of West Africa. And it's something very fascinating he says about these Jews that lived in those regions, what they had to do in order to survive after they were being taken into slavery. It's very fascinating, very fascinating. But nonetheless, here's a good source for it. Now, I'm going to go to the next source. Before I go to the next source, is there anything that you would like me to elaborate on before I go to the...
He never showed us this dude's assertion about these Jews. He just brings it up and then he takes it off the screen and goes elsewhere, as if what he's saying substantiate what the author actually wrote. He didn't show us anything. So they have a dialogue here, and I don't want to catch us up in the dialogue. I'm more interested in what he can put on the screen. That's where you catch him.
All right, let me pull it up on my screen. All right, let me zoom in. All right. Oh, didn't mean to do that. All right. All right. So here is Christian G.A. Oldendorf's History of the Mission of the Evangelical Brethren on the Caribbean islands of St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John. That's what my family on my mother's side is.
Like I told y'all before, everything is to substantiate his family history. So he's looking for validation to accommodate his biasness. That's it. He's looking for something. So we're going to hear what he says. But he puts up another source here that we're going to need to take a look at, and another source here. And then he throws up something else. So we're going to get pump faked for the next 29 minutes. Let's go.
Okay. All right. So let's look at page 167 of this book. All right. Let's zoom in. And for the record, this is one of the earliest sources about the Igbo peoples in West Africa. All right. That's very important. All right. Page 167. All right. All right. According to the same Negro, now for the record, Christian Oldendorf is interviewing Negro slaves on plantation in these islands. Okay. So he's getting this source from a Negro slave that lived in Loango. Okay. This is important.
Now remember, this is important. He brought up the Loango earlier to set the stage of Jews. But see, here's the problem. First, give me a second. Give me a second. I'm gonna try to see if I can pull this up. History of the E. Now look, this book is biased as all get out. Evangelical Brethren on the Caribbean islands of St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John. Come on and find me the PDF, because that's what he's using. Where's the free PDF? Who in the chat got this book? Cause I gotta read what he read. Oh, but is this even a PDF? All right, PDF. CGA Oglethorpe's History on the Mission of Evangelical. Let's see. St. Thomas and Church. The reviews. Shrink the page. This is a PDF, but it doesn't give me everything. That don't give me nothing. Just hold on, y'all. Because we can catch him again right here. We can catch him again. I promise y'all we can catch him again. I know y'all don't believe it, but we're going to catch him again using the same source. Nope, that don't look like that. Let it play. I'm going to look for a wide play.
All right. Oh, didn't mean to do that. All right. All right. So here is Christian G.A. Oldendorf's History of the Mission of the Evangelical Brethren on the Caribbean islands of St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John. That's where my family on my mother's side is from. Okay. All right. So let's look at page 167 of this book. Right? Let's zoom in. And for the record, this is one of the earliest sources about the Igbo peoples in West Africa. All right? That's very important. All right? Page 167. All right? All right. According to the same Negro, now for the record, Christian Oldendorf is interviewing Negro slaves on plantation in these islands. Okay? So he's getting this source from a Negro slave that lived in Loango. Okay? This is important. According to the same, let's zoom in. All right. According to the same Negro, there are Black Jews in Loango, where the Vili peoples were at. They're the ones that made the contact with the Portuguese, who observe the Sabbath so strictly that they do not utter one word on that day. Now, that's a custom. Their converts show Portuguese Jews that have that custom, show Ashkenazim Jews that have that custom, show Mizrahi Jews that have that custom, show Yemeni or Yemenite Jews that have that custom, show Beta Israel Jews that have that custom, show any Jews that have that custom, right? You have to show that they have that custom, right? That's number one, right? They live dispersed about and engage in trade. Remember the brother said, show me where these Black Jews are trading. Here we go. Even though they are completely similar to the other Negroes in their outward appearance, they are so despised by them. Again, something consistent that we see north of this region, all the way in West Africa, in Mandinka country. It says that they will not eat with them. They have their own burial ground, which is located far from the dwellings of the Negroes. Their graves of masonry and figures of snakes, lizards, and the like are painted on them by those who bury the body. This appears ridiculous to the Negroes, since such paintings are so dissimilar to Jewish practices. Again, you have to show Jews who have this custom of burials. Remember, I mentioned that earlier. Okay? Whoops. Hold on. Here we go. Zoom in. Of the assumption, and perhaps not improbable, that the writing or the letters on the Jewish graves appeared to the Negroes to be pictures of snakes, lizards, and so forth. So what he's saying was petroglyphs were incised onto their grave posts. However, because the locals there did not understand the pictographic or paleographic or whatever it was that they were using, it appeared to them to be snakes, lizards, and so forth. However, he's saying it was probably the writing style that they did not identify, and that's why they thought it looked like these things. If these individuals are also converts, okay, it must be proven how. Whose customs are they familiar with? Matter of fact, let me give you a great book on the Portuguese Jews. Let me give you a good book on the Portuguese Jews. How about we do that? I want to show you a source on the Portuguese Jews. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want people to study, because I'm not dealing with the Portuguese Jews, Sephardim. I'm not dealing with the Lusa Africans. I'm not dealing with none of them. I'm dealing with other Jews who migrated inland. And again, I'm gonna have a third source I'm about to throw, And then next time I have the discussion, I'm gonna bring more sources and then bring more sources and bring more sources. It's not like it's just one or two sources here and there and just randomly put two sources together and there we go. We have over 30 something sources. We have tons of sources on this, and they keep going. So hold on. Let me go book to read on the Portuguese Jews, and then I'm gonna give you a book to read on the other Jews that existed during that time period, like the Rodanites that was identified by Muslim cartographers and travelers and historians. And I want a person to show me if they're converts, which one of these Jews, number one, that they have similar practices to, or even minhagim or customs with. Number two, at what point did the conversion happen? When did they penetrate these areas to convert these peoples? What was the purpose of doing that? Number three, were they?
So I found the book in the Internet Archives. It's 784 pages, published in 1987. The problem is I got to have an actual login, and hold on. Let me see if I can. Give me a second. Let me see if my login will work. If my login will work and get me into the archive, then I may have access to the book. And then once again, we can do the same. We can do the same thing that we did yesterday with this book. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. But the importance with this book is that we need the dates. Chronology is key, because his Wolof claim was back in the around the 1400s. And then that was actually shut down. This thing is taking forever to locate my account. You ain't gonna find one. I don't think I got. Do I got one? I don't know. Let's just see if it's worked. But let me while I'm trying to let this thing locate, I'm gonna let him keep talking.
Trade routes were the merchant trade routes, because some Jews went there not as merchants. They went there just to live, free from persecution, etc. Okay? So a person, the onus will be on the person saying that they're converts to show that they're converts. It's very difficult to do that. Matter of fact, even Tudor Parfit is very.
He did it again, and he has a habit of doing it, shifting the burden of proof from the claimant, which is him, to the next person. He made the claims. Nobody claimed that they were converts yet. Well, actually, we could say yeah. We know that they're converts because they tell us that they're converts in their writings. Because in their writings, they make it a point to let us know that these people were not. They were not Jews. They didn't know what the hell a Jew was. Somebody came there and brought that to them. All right, this mug ain't let me get in there, so I'm trying to sign up. I'm trying to sign up for free. I'm not really signing up for free, but I'm trying to sign up. Put my card on file. Oh man, this thing's back again. All right, so I'm trying to see if this will work. I don't think it will, but I'm gonna keep trying. But let's hear what he says. Let him go.
Careful when he speaks about who these people are. Matter of fact, I could get his source at the end if we still have time. I mean, probably not, because I'm about to go to bed. But I want to show this book on the Portuguese Jews, because anybody says that they're converts will have to show it to us through primary sources that they are converts. They got to show it. So here we go. Let me give you
what
a
page
good
you on, man?
Of the book that he just said.
Yeah. It let
You
me
got it?
It let me log in.
So
Nah,
why the
hell
hell you
nah, I
ain't
ain't
get
had
me
that.
y'all?
Yeah, let me log in for some reason. I mean, not log in, but sign up
Sign in?
and then let me
Yeah,
borrow the
man,
book.
we ain't spinning and spinning and spinning. Okay, he's on page 168. It says part 1, book 3, section 4. At the top of it, it says the nation of Kamba dwells in the vicinity of the Luango, not far from Sunday, as I was told by a Negro woman of the nation. The Mandongo are a widely dispersed people, which
Oh,
according to
yep.
the statement, all right, you
There
got
you
it?
go. Yep.
All right, well, here's escape. We'll come back to where we at. Let me get to you. Let me get you back on the screen. Yeah, there you go. Boom, you on there. All right, for you. Okay, so the nation of Kamba dwells in the, yeah, I just read it. And the Mandongo, that thing came back. Nah, okay, all right. I'm about to say, I know I deleted it. All right. Four Negroes of the nation consists of 3 tribes, namely the Colombo, Kondo, Bongola, which are bound to another by a common language. Each has its own prince, but all of them recognize the overlordship of an even more powerful ruler. His authority is so great that his command brings an immediate halt to any of those wars which has vassals sometimes wage among themselves. Now, remember earlier in his argument yesterday, he talked about there was no wars affiliated with Jews, right? He said they didn't have anything to go with there. It says, from his authority so great.
Yep.
Following the death of such a prince, his sons battled among themselves over the succession until the matter was resolved in final victory. These wars are very bloody and often last several years. Some of them I already mentioned. Mondongo Negroes indicated that it took an entire year for the journey from their fatherland to the land of the Luango, and from the Luango, it took 1 month to reach the sea. Scroll down some more. The Negroes come from Congo nation, who came to the West Indies, as slaves, usually have the most part some knowledge of the true God and Jesus Christ, and they are more intelligent and better mannered than other blacks. For this, they have to thank the Portuguese, who since their settlement along the coast have made a great effort to enlighten and improve these ignorant people with Christian teachings. So he just said, whoever says that these people are converted would have to show a primary source of the conversion in his same source that he's reading from, that he skipped all the way past. It says that the Portuguese, who since their settlement along this coast have made a great effort to enlighten and improve these ignorant people with Christian teachings. In this endeavor, they have been partially successful with those who dwell nearby. However, those who live further inland and are far removed from the Portuguese have a religion that combines heathen superstitions and Christian rituals. In the West Indies, I have spoken to one from each of these groups. The one who lived far from the Portuguese called himself King Duncanabam, who was said to have had reddish color hair like a white person. He says Duna means white one. All right, this ruler had been taught to read by the Portuguese and thereby enjoyed an advantage over most other black African despots. He was a friend of the English and had studied had supplies on one of their ships, in which he had an interest with slaves. He allowed his son to travel to the English islands in the West Indies on the same ship in order to go on from there to England. This ship, however, had the ill fortune to be captured by the French. The later brought the vessel to St. Thomas, where one of our missionaries had conversations with the Congolese prince in English language, which he knew. So we have on this ship a missionary. This is conversion. It says he treated according to his station in life and sent to the Copenhagen in order that he might be sent back to his fatherland from there. The other Congo Negro who lived near the Portuguese and knew well the city of Luanda was the subject of another king and in fact a member of his family. I had no opportunity to speak either to Salongo or Angola Negro. Therefore, I have nothing to say about these two nations. Let's go to next page. The people of all Negro nations are marked with certain cuts on their skins. Do Jews, ladies and gentlemen, anybody familiar with the Jewish or the Hebrew or Israelite culture, do they have markings or cuts on their skins that symbolize something? I'll leave that for y'all to think about. As far as I have been able to learn from the Negroes themselves, these serve to distinguish one nation from another. So they're saying that the cuts on the skins distinguish one nation from another. They are therefore national or tribal marks. It has to be admitted that this distinguishing mark is the cheapest and at the same time the most reliable means that one might imagine. Since foolishness in dress does not really occur among these naked people, their vanity manifests itself in the marks in a similar manner, which is basically no different from vanity in dress. Women of superior rank, in particular, seek beauty in it. I myself have seen some who were marked so nicely and symmetrically with all kinds of designs over their entire bodies that it appeared as if everything had been measured by a compass. These marks are raised somewhat above the surface of the skin and give the appearance of flowery black damask. Now, I don't want to continue to talk about the actual tribal markings, which they continue to go to, but then it says there are also Negroes who have not been marked at all. The men of Luanga Nation bear no marks at all. Their women, however, are decorated over their entire bodies with dots. Among the Congo, these marks are not common either. The Mandinga, scroll down some for me. Yeah. Did you go that far? Go back down. Go back down. Uh-huh. Right there. Come on, so go. Most of the time, they're still talking about tribal markings. Keep going down. All this is about tribal markings. All right, hold on. Here you go. Hold on. Go back up to the top. I need to read what the top say. Part 1, Book 3, Section 4. All right. Consisting these tribal markings. The national markings of the Karabari and the Igbo consist of horizontals on the forehead. Keep going, because you know ain't no Jews got no markings on their forehead. The Mandingo marking, still tribal markings. Keep going. Nah, they still talking about tribal markings. All right, stop right there. So let me see what this dude's saying, bro. Keep your stuff on the screen because he takes it off the screen, but I want us to find what he said.
All right.
Okay, so on 167 of his book, in the second, we talked about the war that broke out. Did we talk about the war? We did. Then it says, the Negro told me during his time that the English captain already had cargo Negroes and blah, blah, blah. But then it goes on and says, according to the same Negro, there are black Jews in Luango. Look at the bottom of page 167. And then it goes into 168. And let's see if yeah. Now go down some. Go to 160. Go to the next page, the top part. All right. Some should perhaps improbable that the writings or letters of the Jewish graves and the Negroes are pictured in snakes, lizards, and so forth. The nation of go back up. Go back up some. Go back down to the bottom just a little bit. Nope, you went too far. Scroll up a little bit. All right, so so it says, I'm gonna go right here. It says they have their own burial ground, which is located far dwellings of the Negroes. Their graves are masonry and figures snakes, lizards, and the like are painted on them by those who bury the body. This appears ridiculous to the Negroes. Such paintings are so dissimilar to Jewish practices. And then it says the assumption is perhaps not improbable that the writings or letters on the Jewish graves appeared to the Negroes to be pictures of snakes, lizards, and so forth. All right, so we don't get a source here. So go scroll down some. The Negroes, blah, 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 Christians. And then we read this part. Keep going. All right, stop. So it says citation 14, but I think this is going to deal with the Congo Negro who lived near the Portuguese and knew well the city of Luanda was the subject of another king and in effect a member of his family. So let's see if we can go to citation 14 regarding page 168 in the back of the book. You probably got to go forward. Back up instead of down, because that look like just the sources. It's probably got to be some notes. Should be some notes somewhere. Yep. Those notes. Keep going up. Or do they put the notes at the end of each chapter? Nope. Hold up. Book 2. Okay, that says book 2. Okay, keep going. That's book 2. We're looking for book 1, part. We're looking for part 1, book. Let me go back to it. I'm gonna tell you what we're looking for. We're looking for part 1, book 3, section 4. Part 1, book 3, section 4. Part 1, book 3, section 4. You're almost there. Go up. You got to go up. You're at 7. That's it. That's book 1, book 3. 5. Part 1, book 3, section 4. That's section 8 notes. Yeah, that says, hold on, go back. All right, part 1, book 3, section 4. Okay, go back up to the beginning of that one. There you go, part 1, book 3, section 4. Either there is some geographical confusion here or Olenthorpe's part on the original text contains a misprint. For the estuaries of the Senegal and the Niger River are hundreds of miles apart. The Black foothills are not immediately identifiable, though the African coast is relatively flat from the mouth of the Senegal to the Niger. Proceeding further along the coast, the first hilly area that one encounters is along the Bight of Biafra in what is today the Cameroons. Go down. Hold on. The tribal names appear exactly as Olenthorpe recorded them in the original text. In evaluating those names, it should be remembered that the author was a German speaker and that the fact must have had an influence on the perception of what the Africans were saying. However earnest his efforts may have been to remain objective, all the same, no less an authority than Melville Hertzkovitz had words of praise for the accuracy of Olenthorpe's reporting. So accurate is the reporting that almost every tribal name Olenthorpe gives, scroll down, can be found as present-day maps of Africa, an accuracy that is doubly assured when we find he correctly distinguishes such confusing tribal destinations as Mandingo, Senegal, and Mondongo, Congo. See Herskovitz, The Myth of the Negro Pass. These were perhaps Bedouin people from North Africa who for many centuries exploited the trans-Saharan trade with black nations to the south. So source number 3 is going to give you the what is that dang name meaning again? But the Bedouin or whatever. So take you
Yeah,
remember that?
better
That
one
one,
is
yeah.
nomads.
Okay. Now the French settlement established 1638. This kind of nation is okay. Go down to 7. All right. The nation is especially important in the early history of the Danish West Indies because some of the members were taken to St. John as slaves led a successful insurrection in 1733 to 34. Footnote 8. This is a term that was used along the African coast in slave trading times, meaning headman. It is derived from the Portuguese carboceiro and is usually spelled carboceir in English. The translation here is literal. Ollendorp no doubt means tusk and rather than teeth, but he did not in fact employ the latter term. Number 10 talks about the Danish fort. Yep, they back to the fort on 11. The term busal is employed throughout the history, designated as slave in Africa and brought to the New World, distinct from Creole, i.e. slave, that is one born and raised in the New World. Number 13 deals with some stuff. Go to 14 now. Blacks. Okay, that's to the other part. The city of Luanda, present capital of Angola. Okay, so now we know in 14, what you read, it was on 168, it was referring to Angola. Go down some more. So we don't really have any justification for Jews, even though we know this source is kind of like a religious source in perspective. We're not going to get much out of that. So, all right, let's go back and hear what, let's go, stay right there, though. Stay right there. Let's go back and hear what this idiot nut says.
Incised onto their grave posts. However, because the locals there did not understand the pictographic or
we passed that point. So he bringing up another source. It's called.
The first one is called.
It's called. Look what this source is. The Forgotten Diaspora: Jewish Communities in West Africa and Making of the Atlantic World.
The Forgotten Diaspora: Jewish Communities in West Africa and the. Let me get the
third book.
Here's the third book. Check it out.
Luso-African Identity, Peter Mark.
Third book is Portuguese Style and Luso-African Identity by Peter Mark. Okay? Another excellent book. When you read these books, we have the information to understand.
You ain't got no damn information.
Into the early modern era, regional
Now, Beyond the Saharan Cloak, Uncovering Jewish Identity from Southern Morocco and Throughout the Sahara. This is written by Janice R. Levy. Okay, so is this back to what? Yeah. This is from the medieval period into the early modern era. Blah, 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 blah. Illegality of Judaism and fear of experience. A Jewish faith identity was a consequence. Intolerable, blah, blah, blah. Western institutional oversight. Man, what the hell is this? Of the Jews in Timbuktu. Okay, so he going with that. There's still no date on that. 2016. All right. God dang, man, this man got me chasing.
Semitic violence in Northwest Africa forced Jews to convert in or flee into other lands.
Boom. Convert or flee into other lands? Okay. I don't even care nothing about this. Then he gives one more source. The American slave coast, slave breeding industry. And that's all the sources that he gives. I really don't care too much what he says in the last 20 minutes or 10 minutes of this particular video. He's doing exactly what I thought that he would do. He would send us on a wild goose chase. The actual video ended in part 1. to tell you the truth. The whole video ended in part 1. Because once we, let me stop sharing. Once we broke down the fact that his source what Anthony talking about? Anyway, once we broke down the fact that his source said that these people were not Jews, the rest of everything else Divine says at that time is irrelevant. For people that are actually joining us late, Divine is just divine. He's being divine. He's being slick with his words intentionally. And it's really become, it's not a problem for me. It's just a problem for people who fight with the Hebrew Israelites all the time. Because I really ain't going to, waste my time doing it. I only did this part 1 and part 2 just so we have it on record and he can't make it private. Or if he does make it private, well, it's too late. We got the film. Bro, I ain't got time. This ain't even a conversation for that. Ain't no such, listen, this is about Divine. This has nothing to do with the vaccine, Desharel. Therefore, you've been timed out for 5 minutes for being ignorant. I don't know why you brought the vaccine up in this discussion, but your choice affects my life. So it's no longer about your choice or pro-choice. It's a public health crisis. Therefore, your ignorance is also a public health crisis. And if you do the same thing that Divine just did to us, then you are just as responsible as Divine with the ignorance. Because you're playing on people's emotions and you have these people thinking something. Oh, Anthony was talking about Divine. Yeah. Well, Divine's never going to clear anything up, bro. Yeah, Divine's he's not going to clear anything up. And just again, for people who don't realize, the rest of everything he said from that point on ended in the very first video right here. If you don't believe me, let's listen to him, and I'll let the video walk you right into where he dies at.
So I can give you where it's been authenticated at. Proceed. You said proceed, so that means it's authentic. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna go here, right down. This is on page 76. It says, in this country and in Mendinga, there are Jews who are called Gaul.
I gotta go back. Screen. Read this part of the introduction. Let's see if he reads this part.
I don't know where you're going.
In Augsburg. All right, so let's scroll down. All right, now is this a pseudo source? Yes or no? Before I get into it.
How can he say that if this is a pseudo source or not, and you haven't read the source? You haven't read the source. So it says right here at the top of it, it says, these form a distinct caste in well-off society similar to the smiths and leather workers. Bards had influence and prestige, but although the Portuguese understood the separateness of this group, they believed they were despised by the ordinary people. This apparently led Portuguese to compare them and possibly to confuse them with Jews with whom they were familiar in Portugal. All right, so he doesn't read this part. Let's see if he reads this part. No. Let's see if he reads that part.
Dude, slick.
Germany was connected together by Conrad Peutinger in Augsburg. All right, so let's scroll down. All right, now is this a pseudo source? Yes or no? Before I get into it, just want to make sure that I want to see if you say this is pseudo, this is fake, this is authentic. I just want to see, because These records in Cambridge and Oxford as well. If you want me to pull the verb. All right. So let's scroll down. All right. Now, is this a pseudo source? Yes or no? Before I get into it.
He don't read this part of the introduction. These formed a distinct. Let's see if we can go back just a. Hold on. Let me pause it real quick. So finds you're referring to divine because he's the one making the assertion. So are you pro divine or not? Because you were commenting on the other video and you were saying a whole lot. Now you're in the chat and you're saying that sounds like the author capping, trying to correct the original. Okay, so if you think the author is capping, the author is actually hasn't spoken yet. This whole thing, bro. See, you don't have the book, so you don't know. But this whole thing tells you what's going on before it goes on. But it's okay, because where he don't read it, we're going to read it a little bit. As a matter of fact, since you got the book in front of you, my brother, can you go, please, what you got, PDF or what?
Yeah, I got the PDF.
Okay, let me stop right here. Share your screen, please. Let me find it. Oh, my bad. There you go. Okay. So now we're on Sutek's screen. Now let's read this paragraph where it says Fernandez. Okay. It says, and let me make sure that y'all can see it on. Okay, it look good for y'all out there. Well, it look a little blurry on your cell phones, but I'm gonna read it. It says Fernandez never traveled to West Africa, but he obtained a great deal of information from ship's captains. By the end of the 15th century, the Portuguese had 50 years' experience of trading in Upper Guinea, and many had settled along the tidal reaches of the rivers. Fernandez never traveled to West Africa, but he obtained a great deal of information from ship's captains. By the end of the 15th century, the Portuguese had 50 years' experience of trading in Upper Guinea, and many had settled along the tidal reaches of the rivers. Fernandez's account reflects the detailed knowledge the Portuguese had acquired of the Wolof Kingdom south of the Senegal River, which was one of the principal trading areas. In this extract, Fernandez's informant tried to understand the role of the professional bards of praise singers. These formed a distinct caste in Wolof society. Similar to the smiths and the leather workers, bards had influence and prestige, but although the Portuguese understood the separateness of this group, they believed they were despised by the ordinary people. Who believed that they were despised by the ordinary people? The Portuguese. This apparently led the Portuguese to compare them and possibly to confuse them with Jews with whom they were familiar in Portugal. Scroll down some. The importance of the horse trade is also clear from this passage. Although horses were used in warfare and were the basis of political power through much of the Sahel and forest regions, Fernandez also emphasized the ownership of horses was so much a matter of status that they were even valued if they were dead, for their tails could be displayed as objects in prestige. Fernandez also describes the important role played by itinerant Muslim preachers and holy men who spread Islam, not least through the provisions of amulets, which were worn as a means of protection by horses as well as people. All right, so stay there, Sutek. We coming back to our boy. Crime suspect.
so I can give you where it's been authenticated at.
He said this has been authenticated.
So that means it's authentic. Okay. So here we go. We're going to go here, right down. This is on page 76. It says, in this country and in Mendinga, there are Jews who are called Gaul, and they are black like the people of the country. However, they do not have synagogues and do not practice the ceremonies of other Jews. Who are these other Jews? The Sephardim. These are Jews that he would have been familiar with because they was in the Iberian Peninsula. They do not live with the other blacks, but separate from them in their own villages. These Gaul are usually jesters and singers and play on vowels and cabacos. And because they do not dare to enter the villages, they take up a position behind the houses of the lords of the village. And at daybreak, they sing his praises until he orders them to be given a ration of millet, and they go their way. And when the Lord leaves his house, these Jews go in front of him, singing and calling out their jests. If the Jews did not know these jests, and if they did not greet the Lord in this way, they would not be tolerated by the blacks. For so great is the ill will felt towards them that they are barred by the blacks and do not dare enter one of their houses except that of the Lord. And if they are found in that village, they are beaten with sticks. No Gaul, whether Jew or Jewess, may take water from a spring until everyone else is finished drawing their water, and then the last person will give them water. Or if they live in a country where there's a lot of water, they have some spring of their own set apart. Now, this source right here, my brother.
All right. So if you look up what the word Gaul means, it means a native or inhabitant of ancient Gaul. Let's see if we can get some further understanding of this, if it exists. It says the definition of Gaul, ancient country of Western Europe comprising the region now occupied by France and Belgium. So this word Gaul has to be a French word. So we know that they're not talking about that, but they are making a distinction based on what I just read, which would mean the first known use of this word was in 1625. The first known use of the word Gaul was in 1625. Give me a second, y'all. I'm really trying to ride this thing out. All right, so let me find it in Wolof. All right, English to Yiddish, Gaul, a person of French descent, a Celt of ancient Gaul, an ancient region in Europe, the capital of Gambia, the Gambian national flag, because we're talking about Wolof. News broadcasting in English in the majority of Gambian languages, Mandinka, Wolof, Fula, Jola, and Siri. Translation of this word, similar spoken pronunciation. Now in Yiddish meaning, Yiddish example. Oh man, this is bad. Rodney states darkly they would learn that the Gauls, our ancestors' addition of Wolof, is most commonly a language shared in Senegal. Senegal's language problem. So there's an article called Senegal's Language Problem, a Discourse of Disparity. It's only been cited 5 times, so it's not really used a lot. All right, Sutek, so this is where I need you at, right here. So in the book, it gives us a source reference number 12.
12. Shit. Am I? Oh, nah. You got your screen.
Hold on. Yeah, go ahead and yeah, you on the screen. Okay, so it says the kavaka, more commonly the kavakinho, is a small string instrument with 4 strings. Okay, so There go the word. It's number 11. This is a rendering either of Gaul, Wolof, or Gaul, Fufu. They have no connection with Jews, and the reason Fernandez calls them Jews seems to be that they are a group in society who are widely despised and who kept themselves separate from the rest of everybody else. I want y'all to see this again, okay? Zoom in. No. Do me a favor, bro. Thank you. Highlight it and zoom in more. Please. Please. Let's see if you can get to go into what you want, 150 zoom.
Let me see. Oh no. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about as big as it's gonna get.
That's no. That's fine because it looks good if you're looking on an iPad. All right, so let me go back to the video. Right? No, you keep that on the screen. I want you to keep you on the screen, and I'm gonna get back to that point. So just give me a second, and I'm gonna get us back to that point.
It's right here, my brother, right? This is the time period we're talking about, 1495 to 1518, during 95 to, and then the last person will give them water. Or if they live in a country, daybreak, they sing his praises until he orders. And in Mendinga, there are Jews who are called Gaul, and they are black like the people of the country. However, they do not have synagogues. They do not practice the ceremonies of other Jews. Who are these other Jews? The Sephardim. These are Jews that he would have been familiar with because they was in the Iberian Peninsula. They do not live with the other blacks, but separate from them in their own villages. These Gaul are usually jesters and singers and play on vowels and cabacos. And because they do not dare to enter the villages, they take up a position behind the houses of the lords of the village. And at daybreak, they sing his praises until he orders them to be given a ration of millet, and they go their way.
I want to stop right there real quick. Now, and then it continues to say, and when the Lord leaves his house, these Jews go in front of him singing and calling out their jest. If the Jews did not know these jests, and if they did not greet the Lord in this way, they would not be tolerated by the blacks. For so great is the ill will felt towards them that they are barred by the blacks and do not dare enter one of their houses except that of the Lord. And if they are found in the village, they are beaten with sticks. He reads that part. Then it says, no Gaul, whether a Jew or a Jewess, may take water from a spring until everyone else has finished drawing water. And then the last person will give them water. And then it'll continue to go on. But on the screen, when we go to the source of Gaul, it states that this is a rendering either of Gaul, Wolof, or Gaolo, Fufi, y'all just said Fufa. So they have no connection with Jews. And the reasons Fernandez calls them Jews seems to be that they are a group in society who are widely despised and who keep themselves separate from the rest. So in his first assertion of what he says as a primary source, and I told y'all when we read it from the initial onset that Fernandez never been to West Africa. He is using an informant. That informant makes an assertion. Really, we don't know what the informant told Fernandez. We know Fernandez renders this word Gaul. And when the word is rendered Gaul, then an example is given because these people are separate from everyone else because of the caste system. If you know anything about West African culture and traditions and the way their castes are set up, those praise singers and griots do not live among everyone else when they're doing what they're doing. Period, point blank. They're separate. These castes have always been separate. However, the source, his source, specifically tells us, and this is why I said, Sute, go to the footnote, go to the source. He clicks on the source, it takes us to where we need to be. We find the rendering of the word Gaul and what its implications are, and the author tells us that these people were not Jews. These blacks that he said were Jews in West Africa are not Jews. This is not us saying this. This is the source that he uses. But remember, Divine states that he uses scholarship and that he is a part of an academy. And I ain't got to say no more about that. So the truth of the matter is this, man. Whoever watched his live stream, he wasted about 2 hours of their time, a little over 2 hours. And unfortunately, he wasted over a few hours of our time as well. Because what he said after he finally uses this source, because remember, it took him 55 minutes to even get to the source that he said he was going to read initially. So after 55 minutes of us waiting on him to come to the so-called primary source, we then unveiled that his primary source wasn't a primary source. It was a secondary source, right? It was a secondary source's assertion to Fernandez. Fernandez takes the assertion and says that these people are Jews. So Fernandez has no point to prove, but he makes a bold claim, one that Divine created a whole argument for. So in part 2 of this video, what we bear witness to was Divine creating a whole argument based on an assumption made by Fernandez. His whole Angola, Luango, his whole West and Central African spiel is on the pseudo premise of Fernandez. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason why you don't waste your time with these people who believe that they're wanderers, desert wanderers, or some type of other people out there. Just claim your Africanness. Reacclimate yourself to knowing what your ancestors taught, what your ancestors stood for, what your ancestors themselves prescribed to be. Not saying that you have to follow in their footsteps, but just know who they are, what they do, and why they did what they did. What was their worldview? What was their answers to some of these questions that existed? And ultimately, you'll come to an honest conclusion about who's who in the world. And, you know, we don't know who's who among them, because every time they give us a source and we go vet the source or scrub the source down and critique the source, we come to a faulty conclusion. So that's all I got on that, man. I mean, I could go and I can read stuff about the Bombara, or I can do a whole lot of other things about West African culture, but this is what I'm going to do to subside all of that. Y'all are here on the Masu Warrior Clan channel. Y'all can go on our videos. Y'all can go and look for our videos. The Ganu people at Fertility Cult. Watch that. You can go deal with Oladumare. You can get into, I got a lot of videos on here about what SARS-CoV-2 taught me, or basically, which is my book. But a lot of science with Sean is over here as well. The standard is Asar. I had to, we had, not me, but we had to G-check some Christians using some faulty sources as well. And then again, the Israelites, their misuse of Benjamin Tadula. Anytime somebody, try to bring themselves into Africa, more specifically West Africa, we're going to run them out. The Mandinka people. We got a lot of cultural things here. There's a lot of interviews here. There's a lot of presentations here. It's not just me filling up although I was, filling up the pages with science. But this right here, Congo stuff. Simba Simbi. See, we got a bunch of stuff going on. It ain't just science with Sean over here, even though I dominated it the last few months. Because we're in a pandemic. And our brothers, they put stuff out too, but we're in a pandemic. Some African American stuff. Like, take your time and go through here and find some things. See what we're talking about. See what we're directing you to. Not only the Yoruba, the Igbo, the Fulani, the Hausa, the Mandi. I mean, we all over the place. Balad al Sudan, land of the blacks. We everywhere. The Hawk, the origins of Yoruba. There's a nationality conversation. Timbuktu in North Africa. The Ayikasi. Who is more African? The Sanike Marabout Wars. I mean, we everywhere. Sovereign power in Ghana. The Hunter's shirt. Timbuktu spiritual gravity. The voyage by means of cover-up. Igbo philosopher, scholar, and poet. Come on, man. The Donzo Hunters. The account of Abu el Garnati. Resisting Gan. Nile el Sudan, the Nile of the Blacks, which was mislabeled. Ghana, the land of gold, the Akamba people. Come on, man. The Himba, the Chronicles of the Sika, the Yaka people. Understanding polygamy in Africa. Wagadu, the sacred baobab trees, the water in Africa, Nile River. It's all kind of the Mahi Mahi revolt, the Poro, secret societies and its purpose, the Asafo flags. This is West and Central Africa at its finest, and still going east and northeast, and still dropping some African American culture in this thing as well. So for everybody that's actually viewing this, there's a lot of work that we've actually done. The Ova Himba, the Tuareg language. Look, y'all see this? Gaus. So look, why didn't I do this yesterday? So let's take a look. This is the word that Divine used. This is over a year ago. This is the word. What is this about, Sean? The creation of the world and human life is one of the most popular subjects of the myths and legends handed down from generation to generation by the various peoples of Africa. The following tale is from the Ivory Coast. The two Gulas. There lived, before all things were on the earth and in the sky, two very powerful creators. There was the Gula on high, and there was the Gula below. One day the wind did not blow. The Gula below became bored. He began to yawn, and some clay issued from his mouth. So I guess the people that I'm referring to right now must be the Jews, the Gula high and the Gula below. They must be the Jews. Because remember now, that's what Divine said they was, and that's what Divine Source says they was. And then here it is. We didn't scroll down, and a year later we find the Gula. We find an actual word that's in that book. So show me a Jew to do this right here. Show me a Jew. Show me the Jew. Because this is the Gula. Guelas, the two Gulas. This is the same thing that Divine is talking about.
He said, I will make some men, women, fish, animals, and plants with the clay. And with the clay he made some men, women, fish, animals, and plants. He said, I will put blood into the bodies of the men, women, fish, animals, and plants that I made in clay so that they can live by my doing. The Gula below poured blood into the bodies of the men, women, fish, and animals, but they did not come to life. The Gula below became angry, and he left the clay men, women, fish, animals, and plants outside. He grew impatient. He went away. He left all the clay statues outside. One day in the rain, it fell, and then many of the men melted in the rain. The Gula saw what had happened to many of the men, women, fish, animals, and plants that were of clay. The Gula said, they melted in the rain because they are clay. Sadness grew in the heart of the Gula below. He took the clay men, women, and fish, animals, and plants that were still in one piece. He took them and put them in a cave. At that time, the night was always on earth. At that time, the earth was always in the night. The Gula below had only fire by which to see. At that time, the day was always in the sky. At that time, the sky was the day. The Gula on high had the sun to the light to his way. The Gula on high saw that the Gula below had some fine playthings. He said, give me some of your clay men, women, fish, and animals. I will give them life, and to you I will give the light of my sun. The Gula below said, I will give you only the clay fish, animals, and plants. I will not give you clay men and women. The Gula on high said, I also want the men and women. The Gula below said, so be it. You will have them, but first you must give them life. Then the Gula on high brought life to the bodies of the men, women, fish, animals, and plants. Then the men and the women arose and began to walk. The fish arose and began to swim. The animals arose and began to leap. The plants arose and began to grow. The Gula on high said, now Gula below, keep your promise. I gave life to them men, women, fish, animals, and plants that are clay. I gave you sunlight. Now keep your promise. But the Gula below did not wish to hear of it. Then the two Gulas argued. Both of them became angry for all the time to come until the end of time. Since that time, the Gula on high tries to take back the life he gave to the clay men, women, fish, animals, and plants shaped by the Gula below. Each time the Gula on high appears to take back the life that he gave to the women, men, fish, animals, and plants, a man, woman, fish, or plant dies. But since the Gula below contests the life the Gula on high gave to the clay men, women, fish, animals, and plants, the time of the quarrels is the time when the men, women, fish, and animals and plants are sick. It is also a time of Saruku. It is also a time of war. It is also a time of storms. The stars are precious stones that the Gula on high makes shine to attract women to him. The moon is the eye of the Gula on high. With its eye open or half open, The Gular on high watches the Gular below, his enemy, even in the night, when he takes away the sun from the Gular below. The sun he gave him, along with the life to the men, women, fish, animals, and plants of clay. This was before all things were on the earth and in the sky.
The two Gular. This is a creation story. This is a creation story of the people of the Ivory Coast. You know, that same coast Divine was saying them Jews was at, and the source is a history of Africa. Let me pull it up. A history of Africa by my boy Bohanan. One momento. Let me pull the source up. But yeah, my guy. Let's say the book was History of Africa. Oh yeah, right here. Oh yeah, History of Africa. Let me get here. Stop sharing. Cut the camera on. This book right here. History of Africa. Big book. Big book. Read from cover to cover. Footnotes and all. So I can catch a pseudo when he falls. Page 36. I think that's what it said. 36, 37. The two Gulars. Yep. 36. 37. The two Gulars, the creation. This is the creation of the world and human life, and one of the most popular subjects of myths and legends handed down from generation to generation by the variant people of Africa. The following tale is from the Ivory Coast. Gular. When Divine brought that up, the word Gular, this is what's going on. You remember when I said griots? I told y'all it was griots. Man, I just studied so much, man, that it just, you know what I'm saying? All this reading is just coming back to me like, what am I doing with this dude? What am I doing with this dude? And if you want to go further and he want to go to Gabon or among the Fang people, I can give you their creation stories. I mean, it just really don't even matter to me where he want to go, man. I got it. They also wear ceremonial masks. Jews don't wear ceremonial masks. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? The Tugula. Let's go. And it's spelled the same way that the source showed that we had on the screen. Guelas. Guela. But then I think they use a W in some instances. It could be because of a French word or whatever. That don't even matter. We know who them people are, man. Them people that's separate from them other people in the Wolof. We know who them people are, bro. All right, now hold on, because I seen a question in the chat that I don't want to get to yet. So you got to read these books. Now, the book that I just showed y'all, right? The book that I just showed y'all has 500 and it's 528 pages before it gets to the sources. And then there's a gang of recommended readings. John Henry Clark in this book too, by the way. I don't know if y'all can see that real good, but you see where it says recommended readings? Then look how deep that recommended readings is. And then it goes over there and talks about other stuff. This book is about it. Come on, man. Come on, man. That ain't even a half. I can go still. I can go over there and pull from all my West African stuff. But let me. They got a part in here about West Africa. They got stuff in here about North Africa. It's the whole of Africa. The spread of Islam. Yep. I deal with the scholarship. Ain't that what he said? He deal with the scholarship. He ain't know nothing about the gulags. He called them people Jews. His source don't even agree to that. But he ain't read the source. The Niger to the Nile. That's a good chapter by Basil Davidson. Man, come on, man. When you're reading this book, it don't talk about no dang on the kingdoms of West Africa. It don't even talk about no dang on Jews. They ain't talking about no Jews. The kingdoms of Africa. They ain't talking about no Jews. They talking about kingdoms. He said the Wolof kingdom. They don't bring up no Jews. They ain't talking about no people, bro. They give you all this work in here. All this work. And your boy, where your boy? Gideon. I'm gonna say your name one time, Gideon. That whole Ghana assertion that you made, and I told you they were talking about the feds and Benjamin Tadula. I seen your comment. You do not want these problems, my guy. The source killed you, but you didn't want to read the source because you wanted to stick to a certain part of the book that you thought substantiated your ignorance. Man, you got to be doing good when you get the hyperlink trolls coming in on there trying to share stuff. I know we ain't the only ones live, and I done already blocked that one. That's a whole nother one. So when you talk about West Africa, man, we armed and equipped to deal with it on a scholastic level. You know, similar to the one that you actually said that you deal with, but you really don't. Anybody got any questions or answers, comments or concerns, please put them in the chat. If you ain't got no questions, answers, or anything like that, then Divine, what's your response? You ain't got to respond to me because I don't care. Once your source eliminates you, it's a wrap. And your source eliminated you. So at this point, you know, if anybody got any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to put them in the chat. Or if you just want to build on something, you can ask for the link and I can get it to you, but I ain't going to spend a lot of time. Meanwhile, go get your copy of Spearmasters, a historical survey of the minds of African warrior scholars, volume 4. It's Dinka approved. Support us. Get with us. The link is in the description of the video. But I'm finna put it in the chat for everybody that's in there right now. That's your wrap. Quick comment before I put you in timeout again. You don't say nothing. This is not for you to say anything. Pre-order your copy of What SARS-CoV-2 Taught Me. Pre-order your copy. It's going to get signed and shipped out to you ASAP. Yep, book hadn't released yet, but you can pre-order it and you will get your books before everybody else. And they're going to be signed. Support the work, man. We put a lot of work in. Get this out there. Also, if you feeling a little donate-ish, coming soon books. Coming soon books. That cover dope. Coming soon books. Coming soon books. This book done. It just need to be edited. Need to be edited, and then it need to be edited and then read, and then it's ready to go. Yep. Y'all see it. Fire. You see it. The coming of Islam in Balad al-Sudan. And this right here is what that means in Arabic. By who? By your boy. By your boy. Mm-hmm. That fire. Spellmaster's coloring book coming soon. Yep. For the children. Spellmaster's Institution workbook coming. No games played. That's out right now. Get that. Come on, man. Support us, man. Support us. Look, you feeling a little friendly and want to donate, little $3. You know what I'm saying? What SARS-CoV-2 taught me, a little video right there. Yep. Then all the other books we got, they on here. Come on now, rock with us, man. Mess with us all the way, man. All the way. Then you got this little ugly dude right here. This is where he got married in. Let's see if we can chat with this dude. Let's see if he responds. Could go to regular to his phone. I ain't gonna respond yet. But please support our work, man. Look, click on the link in the chat. Go purchase your book right now. What you waiting on? What you waiting on? He responded. Click on the link right now. What? Man, Taharka, you trying to send me down a rabbit hole, bro. We ain't got nothing to do with them folk. You gotta bring that foolery out. I'm gonna let you bring that foolery out. So look, click on the link, get your copy of What SARS-CoV-2 Taught Me. Just click the link. Purchase it right now. We live. I'm gonna get a notification right now while we live. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. We live right now. Purchase the book right now. Come on now. I'm waiting on y'all. Look, you can purchase it. You can pay using PayPal, or you can use your debit or credit card. Whichever use is good for you. This dude want to check now. What kind of CEO is you? Taharka, we supposed to be talking about something else though that I ain't agree with. You talking about remember we was talking about like some I forgot what we were talking about, man. It been a minute. I gotta go back to Dagger Squad. But we supposed to be talking about that. I said next time we go live on the Masa, we supposed to rap about that. But as far as what you're talking about right now, as far as what did you ever come up with on the Fulani being a part of assisting, and I ain't rocking with that. I don't see that. Which members of the Fulani? You know what I mean? Cause we can get into I really don't try to get into the Almoravid Empire stuff. That takes me away from West Africa. And anytime you take me away from West Africa, that just means we've been manipulated into helping people do stuff. So I wouldn't say it would be far-fetched. I would just simply say that if the Fulani was involved in helping somebody else build an empire up, we were the Fulani, depending on which Fulani you were referring to. The Fulani, they were just slaves. Man, the book that I showed got something called White Man's Africa. Y'all just don't know how real it get, man. People of darkness. Y'all don't want this smoke. I'm telling y'all don't want this smoke with me, man. I'll research. Click on the link, get your copy from get Spellmasters. This dude told me check my Facebook message. Get your copy of Spellmasters and go get your copy of what SARS-CoV-2 taught me right now. Get on there, pre-order it. Rock with your boy. Update delivery. Initially expected Sunday 10/3. Arrived at the location. They ain't telling me nothing, bro. No schedule this time. Supposed it had been done. Okay. They holding me up, man. My people who pre-ordered, man. Trying to get them their stuff out there ASAP. And they gonna get their stuff way before everybody else, and it's gonna be good. I guarantee you gonna learn something. Y'all talk about y'all want to get your education up. I'm telling you, this right here gonna do it. What SARS-CoV-2 taught me, gonna bring it in there. Now look, I ain't gonna hold y'all up, man. It's 11 o'clock. I don't have to get up early this week. The kids are on fall break, so I ain't gotta drop. I ain't gotta take nobody to school. So it's gonna feel good to get a good sleep. I ran tonight. I might as well get up and run in the morning. But I ain't gonna hold y'all up, man. I know a lot of y'all got jobs and things of that. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I really do wish that y'all would go to the 2 links that I dropped in the chat and purchase your copy of what SARS-CoV-2 taught me, and also your copy of Spellmasters. Support us, man. We work really hard. I wrote 2 books. Two books. And both of them are done. Really 3, because one of them a children's book. And I'm just sitting on it. Easy bands, I really don't even. Yeah, Keenan, I know you got yours. I seen the notification. Life started in the south and migrated to the east. Then when it gets to the east, it goes west, and then it goes north, and then it loops and it comes back around. It ain't even about finding a city or founding a city or whatsoever. That's really irrelevant in the conversation, because if you're looking at sub-Saharan Africans finding certain things, we're going to find the sub-Saharan Africans was in certain parts of a lot of places, but they don't rule or create certain things outside of their own realm the way that people assert, which I really don't even care about any of that, because it doesn't really, you know what I mean? It doesn't give true credence. We can just be geniuses in our own aspects of what we actually brought forth. So that's pretty much that on that. But as far as Divine though, he got himself caught up in that. What y'all just witnessed tonight was him catching himself up in the trap because he didn't read the book. He didn't read the whole book. He didn't read the source that referred. The source was standing there saying, read me, read me, read me, footnote, footnote. Let me get clarity on that. Instead of him going and seek clarity on it, he decided to run with the claim, which was disingenuous. And you don't do that. You don't do that. The fact straight about West African history was not straight about West African history. Morocco, Marrakesh, and all of that, the Almoravid Empire, that ain't got nothing to do with West Africans. That's not ours. We had smoke with them people, bro. Why would we even want to claim that, though? I mean, nothing against what you saying, and you trying to get the facts. Sure, it's easy to get the facts. We sitting over here with a whole channel full of facts. Books too. All right, Sister Ladosha. Yeah, I'm wrapping up anyway, so you good. You dismissed. Class is over. You dismissed. Class is dismissed. Some of y'all can go. But we did a lot of work for people to sweep it under the rug and not even notice what we're doing. And we do it for people. We bring it forth to everybody like that. And it's like, all we ask is for your support. Call him for what, Chef? He don't want, man, listen, bro. Chef Divine gotta go back to the drawing board. Divine gotta go back to the drawing board, Chef. He messed up. And that ain't on us. We use his source. We let him die at his own source. That had nothing to do with nothing, man. And it's sad because now he has to go back, and he had a whole argument built on the validation of Fernandez. Well, not validation, but the perspective of Fernandez. He was just solid on Fernandez, bro. Like, for real, he was just there. He thought that he had the whole wop. He built this whole thing, his whole premise on a couple of sources, like 4 sources. And he tried to arrange them in a way that would allow him to stand on scholarship or to make an assertion that would be justified based on the sources that he actually had, but his source crumbled. Genetics doesn't, why are we talking about genetics? There's nobody claiming genetics ain't even a part of this conversation because it doesn't deal with the culture. I mean, if you want to deal with the genetics, you can. You just, go find me Jews in West Africa, genetically. I mean, you want to talk about genetics, go find me the haplogroup in West Africa in the 1400s that would say Jews was in West Africa. Right. Thank you, Sweet Tech. He keep a certain genetics. Talk, I ain't dismissing them, bro. I'm just saying. A00 ain't a goddamn Jewish gene. Ain't no such thing as a Jew gene. A00 ain't got nothing to do with no damn Jews. But nah, man, it's been real, man. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We've been rocking for a cool 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's about as long as the other video, but we really didn't have to go too far, too long with that. I think we really did all of our work in video 1, because once you make the argument crumble in video 1, the rest of the video has no weight. And as you can see, as long as you know what happened, what the source says in 1, then everything he says from that point forward is really irrelevant, because he's arguing on he has a faulty conclusion. His conclusion is pseudo, right? At that point, from the moment that you identify that his argument is based on a misinterpretation of the word gula, and he turns around and he tries to implement that to mean Jew based on the assertions of a letter written by Fernandez, who never been to West Africa, it's a wrap. It's just that simple. It's over with. So everything he say beyond that point, once he shows us what he quote unquote claims to be the primary source, which was not, and we scrub the source and we identify that that source was incorrect and it didn't mean that, everything else don't even matter. So I don't know how Divine can come back from that. I mean, I wasn't doing it to put him down. It wasn't even none of my business. The video would have stayed up and relevant to the people who actually care about this stuff that he's talking about. I had nothing to do with that. It just so happened the video was sent to me, and I just said, okay. And it was like, take some notes on it. I don't want to take no notes on it. So I just did a live review, basically a live critique, just to see where it was going. And then I could pull my sources up, or I can look up stuff and try to substantiate what he needed to do. And I ain't have to put a lot of work into it, only to find out that the boy was wrong, just using his source. Easy Bands ain't gonna stop talking, y'all, and he ain't gonna put no presentation together. He gonna keep on talking about some stuff that he might not be too solid with. He said that Jesus came back from the dead, Divine can come back from this ambush. He ambushed himself. Y'all retarded. Now, and ancient people who lived in Israel will have a group E. Again, that don't have nothing to do with West Africa. You see what I'm saying? So if you use that, then I mean we could use the other parts. We can put the whole argument together: language, culture, genetics. You know what I'm saying? Archaeology, paleontology, anthropology. We could use every avenue that you have to use in order to really rule these people up out of West Africa, but we don't really have to do that. His source states it. His assertion comes from somebody named Fernandez. That assertion was false. Once we've done that, once you've eliminated Fernandez, Divine has no argument. Fernandez got ruled out by the author of a book. So now he got to go find another author that's going to rock with him. Boom, boom. Yeah, that's true. He says, I don't even know what Divine talking about. I admit I'm up. Yeah, thank you, Easy Bands, for admitting that you're off topic. We're going to do you like Dasha Rab. Boot you out. Nah, I'm just playing. But yeah, man, support the pre-order. What SARS-CoV-2 taught me. Get Spell Masters. Fresh off the press. You know what I'm saying? Don't hesitate and wait. What you waiting on? What y'all waiting on, man? Go on and hit those links, man. Support the books. Get right with us, man. Get right with us. We on the right side of all the arguments. Where Divine at? Because you know the number one troll is paying attention to this, but she ain't saying nothing because she don't want to get kicked out. I'm telling y'all, the number one troll, watch. She listening. She just ain't saying nothing. She sent it to Divine. Both videos. By the way, let me show y'all something. Let's deal with this together. So let's go to this video. Hide that. Comment section. Miss Pooh. Shout out to Miss Pooh. She said, this shit is sad. He trying his best to make this brother go along with his made up family story. Fence, who was in the chat earlier, says, how was it made up? I said, Miss Pooh, very much so. He tried to control it. Then I let Fence know she was referring to Divine, sir, and his misrepresentation of data based on his belief. Is very much so made up based on the source he felt substantiated his position. Remember, he claimed primary. Well, the primary was not a primary. It was a secondary who relied on the informant who misrepresented what he say and labeled people something they weren't. And then he says, no disrespect to you, but the guy labeled them Jews, right? So y'all saying because it wasn't a primary, it's not reliable. Is that the gist? I said, you didn't watch the video, did you? He mislabeled the people. The author, aka source, even states such in the book based on the name they were called. So you're reaching. You have to adhere to the additional correction. And then I says, Fernandez labels them Jews, not the informant. That is a problem. Please review again. I explain and will point this out. And then he says he watched the video at work. It was a long video, certainly. And then we get a little shout out here, but then he goes on to say something. If they were familiar with Jews in Portugal, how could they confuse them? I said it was intentional, so many unproven claims. Says, can you be mad if the brothers and sisters out there who believe it, who don't think it was malicious, intentional? I wonder what year the book came out. Not Fernandez quote, but the correction. They probably just couldn't fathom it was Jews there. That author has nothing to do with the fact that if they were Jewish or not, bro. They don't even care. The book was about the Portuguese. So that's some of the things that we actually have to deal with. By the way, go subscribe to Science with Sean, man. Give me some love. Subscribe to my channel. I ain't got that many people. You want to learn a little bit about vaccine science, virology, immunology, we got you. Keep it simple. Orange TV. What the hell are you talking about? Only Sean P. I know was a dope MC that died. Oh, okay. He said easy bands equal dash a rap. Go subscribe to Science with Sean. Man, make sure y'all go get this book, man. We worked hard on this book. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. We worked hard on this book. This book right here. We worked hard on it. We worked hard on this book. We did. Spell Masters. We worked hard on it. Get it, man. If you're in the UK or if you're overseas, you can go to any major platform, online platform, and you can order it. If you're in the U.S., please order from Science Different Branch Publishing. And pre-order your book of what SARS-CoV-2 taught me. Show me some love and some support. I worked hard on this book. I've been doing this research on this stuff since before 2019, but it began April of 2019. And then when the pandemic kicked off, when it officially kicked off, and they opened access to all the information regarding SARS-CoV-2, I've been doing that research since December 2019 on COVID. It's 2021. It's about to be 2 years of just doing research on COVID alone, and still reading about. I was still doing my research and reading and stuff on Islam and my other book that I wrote, and a whole lot of other stuff in the midst of a pandemic and all of that. I put all my stuff together. So I just didn't consume myself in just COVID-19 information, but I had to learn. And I just applied, the correct method to it and slowed it down for myself, and got in tune with a lot of a lot of stuff. Bought some couple of books with some help, just all that. Appreciate that, Donnie. But just don't tell me congrats, brother. Show me some love and some support, man, and click this link and purchase this book. Hit that link. It's Sunday, man. You go to church and get a preacher money every week. You get a preacher man, you work hard all week and go give your money to the preacher man. I'm trying to give you something that's going to advance your people forward. Yeah, man. There you go. There you go. Boom. On deck. Knowing I got 100 pounds of that gold, purple, and that green. But man, if y'all ain't got nothing, I'm gonna slide out of here. For real. I don't want to be the only one talking. I done talked all day. The best part of today was the fact that I had that popcorn and it was just freshly popped. So it was hot. I told that joker up. I'm finna have my son empty the popcorn machine and probably pop some more fresh, hot like that. Wait till I get my free sound bar hooked up, and I already called my cousin. Wait till I get my sound bar. That mug gonna be fire. Type y'all past in the comment. Facts. What Pastor Bennett at, man? Shout out to Pastor Bennett, man. He been putting in some work on the low. You know what I'm saying? Support brother, man. He trying to make sure his church is vaccinated and properly educated. He's still doing some learning on his own. He debating fools on stupid topics they shouldn't even be debating him on. He trying to, fight for the hearts and minds and the souls of the people too. You know what? I really don't want to draw this video out, but if I shut this down and went live again, there's something that I would like to talk about. Because in a book that I'm reading to finish some research on, so that I can get into something that I want to actually dig into. There was something that was brought up of Alexander Crummell and his position regarding Christianity, and I just want to kind of read some stuff to y'all and just get y'all insight on it. But it was like he was. They try to say he was so in tune with trying to get that perspective. I mean, hold up. Dang. don't want to drag this out. But man, I just found it fascinating how these Africans was writing about these elite scholars at the time that was trying to pull people up out of colonialism, but at the same time, introduce scholarship to them and fight for them in different perspectives. But I'm gonna read it to y'all. Give me a second. And I want you, because I think it was cool. So look, it says, influential pioneers such as Reverend Alexander Crummell and Edward Blyden were originally from the Americas, and they and others added the idea of race as a means to understand Afro-European relations. For Crummell, the earliest of the major thinkers, and some others, such as the Reverend Samuel Johnson, the expanding European frontiers in Africa were a blessing. The elite in areas influenced by the British tapped into a Victorian worldview to analyze the African situation. They believed that through international trade and Christianity, Africa would see significant changes within a shorter time. Why did this early pioneer elite support the expanding European empire, even justifying the need for it? For many of the liberated slaves, exposure to Western education and Christianity provided new ways of looking at Africa. Crummell and a few others interpreted African history in a theological terms. God would use the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade and domestic slavery and relations with Europeans to bring progress to Africa. We can also see early examples of comparative history and society. And those who had seen Western societies, notably the liberated slaves, began to envision Africa through the lens of the West, linking a desire for the change of the European expansion itself. For the missionaries among them, the creation of European empire would enable them to spread the gospels. Then it goes on and says, the states that the Europeans would construct in Africa, according to Crummell, for instance, would be firmly based on morality grounded in Christian principles. The so-called morally superior European nations would transform Africa by promoting Christianity, maintaining justice, providing education, ensuring law and order, and creating national growth. The moral state would not fight unjust wars, would train Africans in correct behavior, and would spread the use of English. Crummell believed that Africans had a pliable and plastic nature to absorb the values of Europe and then to learn English, which they required before individuals and nations could grow by becoming Christian and participating in commerce. Many of the pioneer writers witnessed the expansion of the European empires had to modify their ideas to cope with the new reality. It was clear that they had not fully factored into their thinking the motives of the European expansion, and they had expected rapid changes from which many Africans would benefit. To those who regarded colonial imposition as immoral, they were unable to fully deal with the issue of how an immoral system could engender a moral role. To be honest, Alexander Crummell's position regarding just trying to get, have people convert to Christianity and all of that, it really was similar to that that false notion that Dr. Martin Luther King had, that vision that Dr. Martin Luther King had with when he realized that he was fighting for the wrong thing. When Dr. King was like, I think I led us, I think I led my people astray. I think Crummell began to feel like that once he realized the way Europeans were using Christianity and English and things like that to carve up Africa. So then the argument would have to be changed in a different perspective to be driven somewhere else. But it is what it is. What y'all talking about? Oh, Sute going live. He want to talk about. Okay. I don't know nothing about that, bro. I ain't getting into that. Yeah, there it is. When Dr. King said he led us into a burning house. Facts. That's it. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. That what Divine doing right now. I wonder how long it is. The last speech. I ain't gonna share my screen. Y'all can hear it though.
We've got to give ourselves to this struggle until the end. Nothing would be more tragic than to stop at this point in Memphis. I want to thank God once more for allowing me to be here with you. I left Atlanta this morning and then I got into Memphis. And some began to say the threats, or talk about the threats that were out. What would happen to me from some of our sick white brother. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will.
That's his last speech. They gave me the wrong one. Ah, that more 58 minutes, man. I ain't got 58 minutes to play that. I fear I may have integrated my people into a burning house.
ISUPK presents the Lord's 51st annual.
Man. Golly. I done hit the wrong video, y'all. Y'all heard the pseudo. Come on. His dream has become a nightmare. I'm looking for it. Nah, it's that video too long. I'm looking for a shorter version of the video. But he said it though in his last speech. I just don't feel like going through that. Nash University do a whole thing on it.
Advocating for civil rights. And he shocked his confidants and fellow activists at a strategy meeting in New York at the home, the Northeast, the Mid. And another piece that
I ain't getting into all that. But yeah, man, y'all get the gist of it. Crummell kind of had that same assertion too late in the game. He was so entrenched in Christianity and thinking that it would bring Africans closer to modernize. I mean, basically, Crummell's perspective was that Africans needed Christianity and to learn English in order to do business with the West so that they could bring Africa into the industrial age. But the West and other European nations had no notion of educating and bringing Africa into an industrial age or into the future. They were more entrenched with trying to suck the life out of Africa and Africans. And that is that's a problem. I fear I may have integrated my people into a burning house.
Probably how about Shemel Shy. You know,
See? And what happens is the Hebrews have jumped all over that Martin Luther King quote because they shared a few years ago, they were sharing that thing heavy.
Answer to our problem in riots. So my slogan is not burn, baby, burn. My slogan is
I ain't getting into all of that. But people know how they thing go, man, with that speech. But I'm gonna leave it at that, man. Y'all ain't got nothing else. Let me see. Slavery is not a Black American phenomenon. European white folk had been enslaved by the Cushites, Egyptians. Easy Bands, where the source at for that? You sound like Shaka Amos, and Shaka got beat up on that claim. Shaka got beat the hell up trying to claim that. That's not having a conversation though, Easy Bands. You can't make a claim like what you just made and then somebody says, what about it? And then you go from there. I know you're not saying I'm being sensitive. I'm just saying in general that you can't make the assertion of that being something and then turn around and kind of leave it at that. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, MLK could have been talking about economically, but he still, the whole idea of it all is that it don't matter what he was talking about. He knew he messed up. And yeah, you're right. It is in regard to economics because he was thinking that he would be able to integrate and it would benefit, but the integration destroyed what we had built up, and we took our time building up. We should have stayed. We should have, stayed separate. We shouldn't have integrated. Integration held us back. Yeah, he never did. Had he not been assassinated, he probably would have carried out a different tune. And then him and Malcolm X probably would have had a better alignment with one another and been able to actually solve some problems together. Had both of them been able to survive and live longer than they did, it would have been a lot better than Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, I tell you that. Neither one of them have done absolutely nothing. But Dr. King and Malcolm X would have served a greater purpose for us in the 60s and 70s and going into their elder years in the 80s. Yep, facts. I mean, I think, but see, in this same chapter that I just read, they talk about how important scholarship was. And they talked about how in the 60s, their whole movement in the 60s cultivated a notion of Africans evolving scholastically and not depending on the West, depending on themselves and standing on their own 2 feet educationally, which would help some radicalize a little bit and formulate what they call negritude. which I put that Facebook post up a little bit just to kind of assert that. That boy Cheetah showed up to the Chiefs press conference with an Allen Iverson jersey in Philly. You're gonna be mad famous soon if you wanted that bad. Boy, crazy. But yeah, man, look, we building, but y'all ain't saying nothing in the chat because people that's watching this replay, they can't see the chat. All they gonna know is just hear me talking and me agreeing with something being said somewhere else. So look, I'm gonna give y'all 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Let's try to figure this out. Really, nobody jump on, then it's gonna be less than that, and we're gonna end and wrap up. Somebody jump on, then we can build for a little bit and go from there. But listen, man, I really need y'all support. The Kofi Pie research team needs y'all support. Click, listen, go to Same Tree Different Branch. The link is in the description. The link's also in this chat. Go to Same Tree Different Branch, Publishing, and purchase Spellmasters, and purchase what SARS-CoV-2 taught me. Please, please. We put a lot of work in. We had a couple books sold today, a couple books yesterday, a bunch of books on the 1st of October, a bunch of books on the 30th, some on the 29th, yep, and 28th. The first person to get the book was Black Panther. It's because he kind of knew before all y'all. He was the first one to buy the book. God dang, man, what's up with this? I ain't listening to these bands. All right, okay, so nobody joining me, man, so it's cool. So what I'm going to do, man, is y'all know what I'm going to do. I'm going to holler. I'm going to catch y'all on the other flip side. I might be live maybe next week. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway,